buttons on here as well. That one. That one. Can you tell I've just been in the shower, ladies and gentlemen? Can you tell I've just been in the shower and I'm all nice and so fresh and so clean? Right, so we are double streaming now, guys. Listen, the crux of this video is of such that the police force in the United Kingdom is broken. I'm going to read an article now from the Telegraph, and we're going to talk about that. We're going to unpack that, and we're going to see how what's going to play out in the future, and how I think things are going to unfold basically this year. So, policing is broken. Top officers warn Reeves. Chancellor told underpaid, overworked police are leaving in droves while forces cut numbers to save money. Can you see where we're going, guys? Can you see where we're going? So let me just caveat this and start. I do believe that we need. Listen, guys, I'm all for a strong police force. I really am. I'm up for a strong, respected police force that apply the law equally. That means equally if you put a Facebook post. Equally, if you cause multi-million pounds worth of damage on the motorway, the law should apply to you equally. Shouldn't matter your background, shouldn't matter what your, what your religious status is, your ethnic minority or whatever. The law, if you're in the United Kingdom, the law should apply to you equally, whether you understand it or not. And that's kind of the premise of the situation we're in right now, guys. So, policing in the United Kingdom, guys, it is broken. We've got a lot of political policing. Hang on. We've got a lot of political policing. We have got a lot of, police officers having to take the time, having to take their time rather than going and catching what I would perceive as real criminals, robbers, people who commit violent crime. Instead of pursuing those people, they have to go and pursue people who are doing online crimes. Remember, I don't think there's another country that has a system where you can report someone for a non-crime incident. Like, can you just conceptualize that for a second, guys, all right? You're sat there in the police and somebody phones up and says, yeah, I want to report a non-crime. Yeah, you do know we're the police, don't you? And we investigate crimes. Yeah, but I want to report this. It's a non-crime. I mean, what is a non-crime? What is a non-crime incident? Is that like parking when one of your wheels is over on the parking bay? I suppose anything that is not crime is non-crime. So I want to report Sean for reversing in his driveway. I want to report Sean for he had chicken for dinner. I want to report Sean for you see where I'm going with this, guys. We're literally going down this Orwellian state of insanity where we've got double speak, double think, and all this sort of craziness. But anyway, guys, listen, that's the crux of the video. I'm going to come on to your comments in a moment. Do you know what? For a change, I'm going to go straight on to the YouTube comments. We are double streaming again today, guys. This video will be uploaded to YouTube. So AG Aesthetics is saying, we have a weak... In fact, let me pin that. So if you're watching on YouTube, you'll be able to see this. AG Aesthetics is saying, morning, we have a weak police force. If you're in Spain and you step out of line, you get corporal punishment, shall we say. Nobody messes with them in Europe. So yeah, you know what, guys? I do think we have a weak police force in the United Kingdom. I watched a video. In fact, I don't know if I did a standalone video about this. I may have done a standalone video about this. I watched a police video of some armed police, trying to get a guy out of a car. Now, I don't know what he did. I don't know the background to this, but there was armed police and they're trying to get this guy out of the car. Remember, guys, right? I used to teach this sort of stuff when I was in the military. Vehicle interdiction. If I was teaching this stuff, I would say, right, guys, don't approach from the front, approach from the side, but whatever, tactical situation may apply. You walk up to the vehicle, out the car, 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 as you're approaching that vehicle. If they don't comply, you've given them 5 warnings. Doesn't matter. After that 5th challenge after that 5th order has been shouted, Doesn't matter. Doesn't matter if they want to start to get out of their hands anymore. They're getting arrested now. The window goes through without even thinking. Use the seatbelt, hold his head down, cut the seatbelt off, drag him out the window. Done. Takes about 30 seconds to a minute if you're well versed on that. And like, we have such a weak police force, you know. We're seeing them, and again, look, guys, I don't want this to be I don't want this to be throwing too much negativity on the police force, because I do genuinely support a strong police force. I would love, do you know what, guys? I would love to walk down the street and see some, do you know what, actually, sorry to segue. I'm segueing myself. Sorry to segue myself. I was walking down the, where was I? I can't remember where I was, guys, the other day. I was driving. Where was I? I think I was in Doncaster. I might not have been in Doncaster. I was definitely driving. I can't remember where I was. I think I was going through Doncaster somewhere. And I saw these two police, or was I walking? I can't remember where I was, but I saw these two police officers, and guys, honestly, I thought it was part of a comedy sketch. They were so round. Now, listen, I'm not throwing dirt at, you know, I'm not being negative to anyone who's not a certain level of fitness, but, you know, these guys have got to go and catch robbers. And I just thought, literally, I mean, if I was a robber, and I'm not, but if I was a robber, I wouldn't even run away, because I'd be scared that these two guys would get a heart attack. And I was just thinking, is that the state of the policing now? Because under no circumstances are they going to be able to arrest anyone. But anyway, guys, sorry, I digress. And then another comment from, another comment from YouTube. From Claire: older police who have retired are horrified what the Met has become. So yeah, it does seem like it does seem, again, the perception of this, and this all comes from the top, ladies and gentlemen. This comes from the top downwards. This comes from the policies and the practices that the police are told to do. So, you know, it does look like we have a woke police force, you know, and I don't think there's any, I don't think there's much of an argument that could say we don't have a woke police force. Right, let me get these comments, guys. Let me get these comments. Robert Stagg Hearts, Little Miss Ladybug, thanks, Flow 57, Big Timmy, Deborah Phillips, James, Kelly T, Four Pauses saying good morning, everyone. Loads of people joining, guys, and welcome. And if you're not here already, why not? Google it is saying good morning, hello, Seanvan. Hi, Seanvan. Is that a typo? Is that like is that a typo? Is that my new in Ukrainian? The Ukrainians used to call me Shaunik, which in Arabic is it's like, is Shaunik good morning in Arabic? I think it is. Shaunik. I think it is, or it's hello. Or is that Morhaba? I don't know. My languages are fading. Ladies and gentlemen, if anybody speaks another language, languages are fadable skills, degradable skills, I guess. Jody Lee, good morning. Debbie Doobs, good morning. Google is saying Israel detains, right, let me get this up. Israel detains Greta Thunberg. Let me get this up. I mean, what is she doing, that little girl? Right, okay. Israel detains Greta Thunberg after stopping aid boat on way to Gaza. Israel detains the Gaza-bound Freedom Flotilla carrying Greta Thunberg. I mean, what is she going to do when she gets there, little Greta in her little green hat? I don't know, guys. I don't know. How old is she now? Is she still like 14 or something? Is she still 14? I don't know. Listen, I'm not gonna throw dirt on a 14-year-old girl. I don't know how old she is. I can just remember her with that face going, "How dare you? How dare you take away my, I don't even know, my hopes and dreams. How dare you take away my hopes and dreams?" And Debbie Doobs is saying, don't forget to tap the screen. So thank you very much. Listen, ladies and gentlemen, I guess we are on now, and I've started my monologue. Can you do me a favor? and hit those buttons, whatever platform you're watching on, whatever buttons help this channel grow. Can you hit them, guys? The like, the follow, the subscribe, bell notification. If you're watching on YouTube, like the buttons below. If you're watching on TikTok, I think they're up here somewhere. So please hit those buttons, guys, and help this channel grow, because I do appreciate each and every one of you. Right, let me come down and get all these comments. Debbie973 is saying, good morning, everyone. Lulswell is saying hi. And EG News is saying, early 20s, isn't she? I don't know. Right, let me have a look here. How old is Greta Thunberg? Right, I know this is slightly off topic, but let me find out how old Greta Thunberg is. Wow, she's 22. She's 22. When did that happen? When did that happen? Greta Thunberg is 22. I can remember, like, guys, I still see her as like that 14-year-old little girl, and she's sat out there and she said, "How dare you take away my hopes and dreams?" I'm like, right, Greta, I think you should finish your GCSEs and then come back. But look, we'll you know what? I guess I can. Can I criticize a 22-year-old woman now, or is she fair game for criticizing now? Wow, that's like 6 years. That makes me feel like really like, where did those 6 years go, guys? Where did those 6 years go? And Esbro is saying her favorite words are blah blah blah. Yeah, I mean, look, I'm not going to get into this Greta thing. I'm genuinely shocked how old she is. That is totally hang on, guys, give me a second. Yeah, that has totally shocked me. But yeah, we will finish it. So Greta Thunberg, ladies and gentlemen, apparently from 19 minutes ago, Greta Thunberg's been detained, shall we say, by the Israeli armed forces. Guys, look, if you've been keeping an eye on what's happening in the United States with these riots, like these, we're seeing these riots and these sparks, and this is, this could be argued, and I would certainly argue this. I would argue that the riots, the protesting, all this is a build-up from the mass amounts of migrations that come to these countries. Like, when the weather gets hot, and when people find a spark, it happens. It happens, ladies and gentlemen. It happens because there are people now in places that have no affinity to that place. Like, for example, the small village I grew up in. There's, the small village I grew up in. There's a tree in the middle of that village. I have an affinity with that tree. I used to play on that tree. I used to go to the fish and chip man, and I used to say, "Can I have a bag of scraps, please?" And he used to give me a bag of scraps and throw a few chips in. So if you grow up in an area, you have an affinity with that area. Now, if I'd just been thrown into that area, I wouldn't have an affinity with that tree. I wouldn't have climbed that tree as a kid. I wouldn't have gone to Brian, the fish and chip shop man, and asked him for a bag of scraps when I was like, I don't know, like 10 or whatever. So under no circumstances am I ever going to throw dirt at that small village or at that little town, because I grew up there. I've got an affinity with that area. Incidentally, you can trace my family lineage back to the 11th century. So in England. So this is kind of one of the problems when you have these mass influxes of people who don't have that affinity, with the, with that country. Like, for example, Los Angeles. Now, I've never been to Los Angeles. In fact, totally forgot about this. I've got a friend who's in Los Angeles. Do you know what? He'll be asleep. Like Los Angeles, for example. If you grew up in Los Angeles, and those were the bars and the clubs and the parks that you grew up in as a kid, there's no way you're going to want to cause damage to them. There's no way you're going to want to, cause nuisance on those streets. So this is kind of one of the problems that comes with masses and masses, and I do mean en masse now, guys, you know, where you reach that critical mass of uncontrolled. And again, like, to use the word migration is not fair on people who do migrate legally, because there are a lot of great people in all over the world who migrate. You know, I may very soon myself be a migrant. So, you know, it's a very complicated, well, it's not complicated, it's quite simple, but the complications of calling people migrants, that's what I'm talking about. Matt Alexander over on YouTube is saying, just come across some news. Miguel Ubrai Tubai, I don't know who he is, on the 7th of June 2005 was, okay, so he was transcended into a beam of light on a rally yesterday. I think I did hear the back end of that on the news yesterday, actually. Right, let me jump up and get these comments, ladies and gentlemen. And if you're on TikTok now, guys, can you share the live? And if you're watching this on YouTube as well, can you, like, I don't know, do whatever you need to do on YouTube to help this channel grow? Because that really, really helps, guys, getting this message out there. We've done that. Her new favorite words. EG News is saying it's been madness over there. That's 3 countries that have protested in the last month. Yeah, so what we're seeing now is this mass influx of people, countries that have got mass amounts of people who are not from that country, if that makes sense. And we're seeing these protests happen now, ladies and gentlemen. Remember, I do think, I believe it's inevitable that it's coming to the United Kingdom. I do believe it's going to be here this summer. I'm not backing down on my initial forecast of the 4th of July in the United Kingdom, which is not less than a month away now, guys. Less than a month away. Thank you, you guys who are sharing the live, and thank you, you guys who are following. We're getting quite a few people following now, so I do appreciate that for all the followers that I'm getting. That governor of LA, hang on. Oh, hang on. EG News has just thrown something in there. Right, let me just pin that and let me go on to Sky News right now. Let me see what's happening. Right, I can't find anything. I can't find anything recently. If it's happening right now and it's on the actual and if it's on the actual TV, if it's on the TV, I won't be able to see it. Right, let me jump up and get the rest of these comments. Debbie Doobs is saying, love scraps with lots of vinegar on. Nom nom. Does everybody know what we're talking about when we say scraps? Or is that like a northern thing? Does everybody know what we're talking about here when we say scraps from the fish and chip shop? It's like, you know, the batter and the fish and stuff. Like when you were a kid, you used to go in and ask for a bag of scraps if you didn't have any money, and you used to go in and they just used to give you a bag of the scraps. You used to like eat it with like salt and vinegar on or whatever. Government assessment warns Reeves-backed reforms could see final salary schemes run out of money. Like, yeah, I mean, listen, it's my opinion that Rachel Reeves is there to do a job. Once she's done that job and she's done whatever she needs to do, she's going to be sacked and someone else will be in the position. And then all these, you know how it's making it really difficult at the moment for landlords. And I don't mean big landlords. I mean, you know, if like you move in with your partner and you've got a house and you decide to rent it out, that's what I'm talking about now, guys. It's making it, the government have made it very difficult for those landlords. And those landlords don't make a lot of money. They make a little bit of money, but they do make a little bit of money, and that's their own money. Well, the government have made it very difficult in the United Kingdom to the government have made it very difficult for those people to turn a profit. But what I think will happen when there's a critical mass of those people now, those houses, given to large corporations, the laws will change and make it more lucrative again. And then our taxpayer money will be paying large international companies. They'll be putting migrants in private houses, and we will be paying for that. We will be paying for that. Not only will we be paying for that, we'll be paying for that, and it will be making us poorer. Say that back to yourself, guys. Say that back to yourself. We are paying for our own demise, and it's making us poorer. It's absolutely phenomenal. If you take a step back, guys, and you understand all these things that are happening now, it is absolutely unbelievable. It's fascinating and it's brilliant to watch. And I don't mean brilliant in a good way. I mean brilliant to see how people have got this monopoly, and how this monopoly looks like it's just, there's nothing you can do about it. And this is why I say, ladies and gentlemen, I say quite a lot, if voting mattered, if voting meant something, they wouldn't let you do it. EG News, if it happens here, then God knows what's going to happen. Sharon Owen is saying good morning. EG News is saying it's as easy as to order that as a takeaway. I can't copy and paste it. Right, don't worry. So there's something happening regarding the gangs. The gangs that we're not allowed to talk about, or we're or you're branded a right-wing conspiracy theorist. Apparently there's something on Sky News about that at the moment, but we can't share a link to it. Right, Labour is abandoning the manifesto, pledge to hire more teachers. Go figure. TV reporter, oh yeah, I think we've... did we just cover that? Russia hired African farmers to make... What? Oh, right, okay. This is quite funny, actually. Right, this is not funny. So Google is saying, right, and I will try and get this article up here. In fact, hang on, let me get this up, because this has just tickled me. I can't find it, Googly. I can't find it. Lisu is saying, good morning. Danny Boy is saying, did you get my comment, Sean? No, I didn't, Danny Boy. Danny Boy, I've not got your comment. Maybe it got released. Maybe it got taken down, Danny Boy. I don't know. Was it controversial? Right, ladies and gentlemen, listen. I want to repeat the crux of this video and the theme of this live stream. No help is coming to you. All right. The policing system in the United Kingdom is totally broken now, guys. It's totally broken. This is from an article today, in fact, yesterday, 8th of June. Policing is broken. Top officers warn Rachel Reeves. Chancellor told underpaid, overworked police are leaving in droves, while forces cut numbers to save money. Like, you can't understand it, can you, ladies and gentlemen? As we're heading towards this new, I don't know what this is, this new whatever we're living in right now, I would say, and it's my opinion, that I want a strong police force. I want a respected police force. And you know what, guys? Listen, if the police, right, the only people who complain about heavy-handedness of the police is criminals. I would say, I think I'm fair I think that's a fair comment, guys. I think criminals are the only ones who complain about the rabbit holes. Sorry, not the rabbit holes. I'm trying to read 3 different screens here, guys, and give you guys my monologue. I think the only people that complain and put claims in against the police for heavy-handedness, I know it's not exclusively, but I think the criminals do this more than people who are not criminals, because, first of all, I don't think non-criminals resist arrest. I think non-criminals, if there is a mix-up, they'll just say, look, this is ridiculous, I'll come with you, but I've not done anything. And then they get released in due course. They say, right, I am sorry, I do apologise, and then they go their way. What we've seen, and what I've personally witnessed myself, is people aggressively resisting arrest, guys, really aggressive. And I've seen this now with my own eyes. where I live, how do I say this? How do I say this? Where I live, there's like a small, in America, you would call them a strip mall, but it's, I would say it's like an, I don't know. You know what I'm talking about. You've probably got, like some fast food restaurants. You've probably got a TK Maxx, a Sports Direct, a Boots, a Primark, like a couple of these few shops. Now, I saw with my own eyes, ladies and gentlemen, I saw two gentlemen police officers. And look, guys, I've got to be honest. When I give you my analysis on a lot of these things, I'm saying this as someone who's trained, and I'm not saying this to try and I'm not saying this to try and big myself up. I'm just being honest. I've probably trained thousands of soldiers, thousands. Do you know what? And my training programs have gone out to tens of thousands all over the world. And I can pretty much tell by looking at somebody if they have that capacity to arrest someone and to hold someone down and to dominate someone. And just by looking at them, guys. What I saw by the shops on the strip mall is, I don't know what you would call it, retail outlet. Sorry, guys. At the retail outlet, what I saw is two police officers who looked like they should be advertising hair products, trying to hold down a black guy. And again, I'm saying he's black because he was. I'm literally telling you what was happening. Now, they were not in control. They were not in control. So if it takes at least two police officers to hold down one person, can you imagine the summer of carnage when it comes this year, ladies and gentlemen? Can you imagine if people go crackers, how difficult it's going to be for the police? If already the police are underpaid, they're overworked, they're losing enthusiasm. I mean, you know the guy, what's his name? The guy who was transcended into a beam of light, Chris Carver. Can you remember that thing, guys? Like Chris Carver. I watched that video, and something you get taught when you're doing this sort of stuff, guys. Okay, if somebody is using a car as a weapon, that is a threat to life. There's no questioning of that, guys. So in those police officers' training, they will have been told, if this scenario happens and a car is driving towards one of your colleagues, or it could drive to one of your colleagues, you are authorized. That is it, guys. There's no caveat to that. There is no caveat to that. So this armed police officer, he literally did his job as per he was being trained. There was no caveats in there there was no realistic threat. There was no, he didn't confirm the driver. Everything was literally by the book perfect. By the book perfect. So the police officers now, armed police, if you're an armed police officer, you do your job by the T, do exactly what is expected as you've been trained. You're gonna go through the courts. We're gonna drag you through the court system. Why? Don't know. So can you imagine now, ladies and gentlemen, now the next time there's an armed officer and somebody's driving a car towards, I don't know, maybe he's driving the car towards your family, my family, and this armed police officer thinks, right, I could stop this now, but I may go into jail for the word that spelled backwards is red rum. So you see what I'm talking about, guys? It makes, like, for the armed police officers now, why would you bother? Literally, why would you bother? So first of all, I understand that was a cut and shut case. I was reading one of the reports from another officer, and another officer was asked what you thought of the situation, and the other officer said, a split second later, and I would have done the exact same thing. The officers were all in agreement that should have happened, all right? So now you understand the brokenness of the police force, and people are talking about, when the summer of carnage comes to the United Kingdom and there is these protests, there is these riots, there is these mass events, like, Do we think that that's going to increase the local crime because those local criminals know that there's no police coming out to stop them? I would suspect it is. Right, ladies and gentlemen, let me get these. There's some comments on YouTube, and then I'll comments on YouTube, and then I'm going to do some. I'm going to jump up to all the comments on TikTok. Right, so from now over on YouTube, it's saying Poland is scrambling jets. Right, I will have a look at that in a second. I'll see if I can find anything from the mainstream. Alfie is saying, do you think the coalition of the willing will send troops to Ukraine to fight? Good question. Yes, but not initially. So I think the first coalition of the, you know what, I should get a map, shouldn't I? So I think the first coalition of the willing to Ukraine, the first troops, and remember, from some of you guys' comments, we heard that we are hearing that, again, this is non-confirmed, this is from the comments, so I don't know whether this is true or not, but what we're hearing is, what we're hearing is about 100 troops are crossing the border into Ukraine every day, and there are nowhere near 100 troops leaving. So that is hearsay. I've got to caveat that, guys. I don't know if that's true or not. That is from your comments. Sorry, Alfie's question over on YouTube is, do you think the coalition of the willing will send troops to Ukraine to fight? Okay, so first of all, they will send troops into Ukraine, and they will say, right, you guys are allowed in Ukraine. You can go right the way up to the River Dnipro. Now, the River Dnipro literally bisects the country in half. So right at the top, you've got like, I think you've got Vyshhorod. I think it's Vyshhorod right at the top. I may be wrong at that. It basically comes down from Belarus. Not far off that. You get to Kiev. You get to you go to Kremenchuk. Then you go down to Dnipro, then you go down to Zaporizhia. So that cuts the country in half. So that is a perfect handrail. So what I think would happen is the coalition of the willing, their first mission would be to get into Ukraine and to secure the northern corridor with Belarus, the northern border with Belarus, and then all the way up to the River Dnipro. That would give the Ukrainians who are there on rear guard, first of all, it'd be a massive morale boost. That would give them then the capacity to surge forwards into the east. So that's what I think would be the first stage. The second stage would be to conduct operational training and mentoring. Well, they'd probably omit the mentoring word. What they would do is operational training. So thereby they would get, they would say, right, we don't have the capacity to train you guys for absolutely everything. So what we're going to do task-specific training. So, right, you 100 guys, you guys are going to do a compound assault on said building. Get them in, train them on that building. Then, as part of that training, you have something called operational mentoring. And with that operational mentoring, the guys who have given you, the guys who've done the training, normally, although it may be different, the guys who've done the training would go out on the ground with those troops as just reassurance, a bit of security, a bit of backdrop for those people, you know, and that's how it, you know, and that's how it evolves. And then Alex Cullen over on YouTube is saying, I'm just going to pin his comment. I'm not going to repeat it because the TikTok algorithm won't let me use those words. But I am pinning that over on YouTube. He's saying something about how do I put this? He's saying groups of all dynamics. How should I say? Groups of all dynamics one day will go mad in the UK. And I do think that's true, guys. You know, you've heard me talk about, you know, that poem, Wrath of the Awakened Saxon, or what's the actual name of it? The actual name of it, it's Rudyard Kipling. Rudyard Kipling, it is, what's the word? The beginning. You know, I do feel that poem by Rudyard Kipling, it is very apt in today's world. It's very apt in today's society, when the English began to hate. Right, let me jump up and get these comments because there's quite a lot jumping down on the, in fact, let me get these Poland scrambles jets. Yeah, 22 minutes ago. Okay, let's get this. Okay, right. Ukraine war latest from 21 or 22, like not long ago, basically. Ukraine war latest. Poland scrambles jets after Russia launches biggest overnight bombardment of war. Wow, guys, listen. Like, it was only a couple of days ago that the Russians launched the biggest bombardment, and then I think the day after that was the next biggest bombardment, and now it looks like there's another big bombardment overnight. Poland and its allies scrambled jets this morning as Russia launched a massive airstrike across Ukraine. Watch question and answers. You guys don't need to watch question and answers on Sky News when you've got me. I mean, who are these guys? Dominic Waghorn is asking Ukraine questions. He knows nothing. Right. 10 minutes ago, Russia is escalating the war. The head of Ukraine's presidential office has shared a message on X following the overnight bombardment. Then we've got maps. We've got the situation on the battlefield. Scroll through the maps below. Yeah, we've got that. Basically, guys, the situation in Ukraine isn't good at the moment for the Ukrainians. Thank you, Crotchet35, for your subscription, and welcome, Crotchet35. Welcome to our community. I hope you're going to be an in-depth contributor and put some great comments and have some great insight to your area of expertise. But welcome, Crotchet35, who subscribed. Thank you so much. And listen, ladies and gentlemen, thank you guys to all you guys who subscribe. Like each and every one of you, thank you so much for your subscriptions. You know, I do as many subscribers videos, and especially when things are floating close to the wire and I may get the video banned, I have to do it as a subscribers video, guys, because you guys know how many videos I get taken down. I get so many videos taken down. Right, let me jump. Right, there's so many comments. Right, hang on, guys. Right, Google it. I will come on to the Africans and shampoo in a minute. I will come on to that. I said, so Danny Boy said, I said the video sort of, right, is a deep, dark rabbit hole. Right, Danny Boy, I've not managed, if you sent them today, I've not even been able to open my inbox. I was literally 4 sheets to the wind this morning, rushing around, girls getting off to school, all sorts of crazy stuff I had to do this morning, but I'm done. And I've not even caffeinated myself, ladies and gentlemen. I am not even fully caffeinated. Can you guys give me a second while I fully caffeinate myself and caffeinate myself the best I've ever caffeinated myself, and I will come back and I will be your fully caffeinated raven. Give me a second, guys. I'm just going to jump off screen. And for those of you guys who are watching on YouTube, the reason I have to jump off screen to caffeinate myself is because if I don't jump off screen when I'm caffeinating myself, I get a restriction on TikTok for tobacco and alcohol, which I don't drink and I definitely don't smoke, so I don't even know how that works. But anyway, guys, I'm just going to jump off the screen. In fact, what are we on? We're on 26,000 likes, guys. How many do you think we can get? How many likes do you think we can get while I am caffeinating? Let's get that thing tapping. And if you guys are watching later on YouTube, you've no idea what I'm talking about. But you know what? It's part of the experience. Oh. I'm half caffeinated. I am half caffeinated. I am half caffeinated. I'm half caffeinated. Right, let me go down. Sharon Owen is saying, pushing digital ID now because of the illegals in this country. It's all been done on purpose. Yeah, so another thing with this digital ID, guys, you know, I was kind of thinking about this last night. First of all, you've got the one aspect of the digital ID where, you know, you have to use your digital ID to pay for something, to go to a shop, you know, to do whatever, you know, literally to do whatever you can do. But then you've got the other aspect of this, and this is one that I kind of thought about this as an afterthought, but it should have been the first one. Once you've got your digital ID, I would speculate the next move after you've got your digital ID, the next move after that would be you can only access social media sites through your digital ID. So now, when you're online, you know, if you say anything wrong or anything, you know, they literally know 100% that is you online. So there you go. If you, oh, guys, right. I love my mum. Who doesn't? Who doesn't love their mums, right? She phoned me up last night, and you'll see where I'm going with this. She said, I don't know if she's watching. I hope she's not watching. So my mum phoned me up the other night. I was just leaving. I was leaving the house. I'm opening the gate. She phoned me up. She said, "Sean." I said, "Yeah." She said, "How do you stop someone following you on TikTok?" I said, I don't think you can unless they've commented on one of your one of your posts. Again, I may be wrong. I don't know. She said, "Oh." I said, "Why? Who's following you?" She said, "Sorry." She said, "King Charles." I said, "What?" She said, "Yeah, King Charles is following me." I said, "Mother, it's not King Charles." She says, "No, it is. I've looked, it's definitely his picture." I said, "Right, has he got a blue tick?" She says, "No." I said, "Right, Mother, it's not him." She says, "No, it definitely is." I said, "Right, you know what, I've got to leave the house." I said, if you think it's King Charles, absolutely fine. But yeah, so my mum thinks that King Charles was following her on TikTok. I don't know, maybe he is. Maybe he is. Maybe listen, maybe I'm going to be Prince Raven. I wouldn't mind being Prince Raven. Whatever, maybe I'm going to be Prince Raven very soon. I don't know, but my mum thought that King Charles was following her. Anyway, right, anyway, guys, sorry. I digress. But you see where I'm going now, guys? So King Charles, if he wanted to get online, allegedly, you know, he would have to use his digital ID to get online. And I do think that is coming, guys. I do think that's another, you know, another facet of this digital ID. Google it around six. Right, I am going to come on to what's happening in. I am going to come on to what's happening in Los Angeles, because it is absolutely insane. And look, guys, I'm all on the side of law and order. I'm all on the side of, you know, people being calm, nobody getting hurt. I'm 100% on that side. The problems are when people feel they've got no other way of expressing themselves, that's when these things happen. So, you know, whichever side of this argument you're on, you know, if you feel there's no way to express yourself and nobody's listening and you can see the impending doom, then, you know, these things are coming. Equally, the United States, over in America, these guys they've got their problems as well with people coming over through Texas, through the Rio Grande. I think, well, did I hear right that I think through Texas, like 1 year, they had like 2 million people come through Texas. That is like a phenomenal number. NHS calls for 200,000 new blood donors as supplies run low. Listen, ladies and gentlemen, now I'm gonna have to talk in code here. I am gonna have to talk in code here about this. So Google is saying that there's an article out saying that the NHS is needing new blood donors. Now, how do we feel about the screening of blood in hospitals? Like, how do we feel about that screening, guys? Literally, how do we feel about that screening? Because I'm thinking, right, and I don't know if this is true. I've seen a lot of videos and I've seen a lot of, you know, circumstantial evidence. By circumstantial, I mean I've not gone there. I've not validated the authenticity of this evidence, but what I've seen seems to stand up. And it seems like all of a sudden there are things. You guys know what I'm trying to say, don't you? Can somebody put it in the chat? You guys know what I'm trying to say. There's stuff in our blood. So there's stuff in our blood that's potentially not good. Potentially, guys, I don't know. I have to be careful with what I'm saying. So if you went, then you had to have, you know, you had an accident and you had to have the claret into you. Like, what's actually being transfused into you? It's, you know, it's terrifying, me. Absolutely terrifying. Yes, Poland is scrambling jets, ladies and gentlemen, as we speak. In fact, guys, it's just quite. I wish that article had have broken a little bit earlier, because I could have used that in a few emails I sent this morning. Anyway, right. Hang on. Right, we've done that, Poland. Need to build a bunker with my eyelids, says Daniel Payne. Russia launched the biggest, yeah, so if you guys don't know and you're watching and you're just joining, the crux of this video when I started was the broken police force, and masses and masses of police are leaving. They're being underpaid, they're being overworked. and there are being cuts and cuts and cuts to the police force. It doesn't look good for our security. It doesn't look good for keeping law and order. But guys, listen, I keep saying this. Once a critical mass is reached of crime, there's no stopping it. It will just continue, because then, how I give you guys that thing about the protesters, and I say, right, for every 100, you might get one that goes absolutely crackers, and under no circumstances is he going to be talked down. He's like a wild. He's gone wild. He's like, I'm so angry, and he's biting his own fingers off, and he's punching himself in the head. You might get 1 out of 100. From that, you might get 4 people who are willing to throw bricks. You might get 5 people who, on top of those, are willing to chant and shout. You see where I'm going with this, guys? You get a small amount of people that will reach that critical mass. With crime, it's exactly the same. If there's a lawlessness perceived over the United Kingdom, and from the recent articles there, ladies and gentlemen, that we've just read, the capacity of the police force is going down. So that would increase the lawlessness, because you will reach a critical mass where people are just thinking, right, there's no police coming to do anything. Everybody else is stealing things. Why shouldn't I? And the best example I give of this is, we've all seen, haven't we, ladies and gentlemen? Like, we've all seen Greggs. You know what I'm talking about, right? In London, or do you know what? I don't even know where it is. We've all seen in various places people just walk into Greggs, take what they want, and leave. And and it just seems like they're allowed to do that. At what point? Those people who are queuing up for their $4.99 baguette and their £3.50 coffee. At what point do those people just think, well, do you know what? I'm actually a mug now, because nobody else is paying, and I'm actually paying for theirs because my prices are going up. Well, do you know what? I would love to see because this is going to happen at some point, guys. This is going to happen at some point. There's going to be a video out at some point. Maybe I don't know. It will happen at some point. There's going to be a video released, and it'll go viral, of somebody stood in a queue waiting to pay at Greggs or wherever. They're there waiting to pay, and a load of people are going to come in. They're going to steal a load of stuff, and that person's just going to think, yeah, I'm not going to. They're just going to walk out themselves. And then once that happens, you see with the critical mass, guys, you see where we're going. Greggs shut, everywhere's shut, shops are boarded up, and we're in literal, what's the word I'm looking for, when it's martial law. But as we've been on the live stream, ladies and gentlemen, we've got an update from 5 minutes ago. Russia wants a buffer zone in Ukraine. Yeah, they always want that. Escalating war. Polish jets have been scrambled. I've been saying this. I would speculate that Polish jets are synonymous. I would say Polish jets are synonymous with Ukrainian jets. Paul Poops is saying, Paul Poops over on TikTok is saying, it always happens with armed police. The reports and consequence for firing, it's mad. Yeah, look, guys, I've done a lot of work with British armed police, the teams in Cardiff, basically, and they were solid guys. They were all solid guys, like really good, dependable. Most of them, not as good as the military, but they were a good standard. They were a good standard. And when people talk about police, they're the police I naturally think of. They're the police I naturally think of. No nonsense guys, get the job done. Yeah, a little bit of rough and tumble. They might skirt close to the line. But yeah, so the armed police that I've certainly encountered are all good, solid guys, and I would trust them. But the problem here is there's this wokery around the police force, and they're getting dragged in with it. Jean Prothro is saying, good morning, everyone. Liz Sue is saying, are you still predicting 4th of July for the Summer of Carnage, Sean? Yes. That's when I think we're going to see the first skirmishes. I don't think it's going to be in full-fledged. It's not going to be nothing and then 4th of July, boom. I think you're going to see the first skirmishes on the 4th of July, guys, okay? I think it's going to be the first skirmishes on the 4th of July. I think the real summer of carnage will come in the summer holidays when the kids are off school and you've reached that critical mass. So that's what I think it's going to. I'm just going to jump over to some comments on YouTube. When people donate blood, they should screen for cancer rather than make just the basic stuff. More people would donate, especially since they can't get a doctor's appointment. Can you screen blood for cancer? I don't think you can. Can you screen blood for cancer? I don't know. I don't think that's how it works. I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm wrong, guys. Please put it in the comments if that's a thing. But yeah, maybe they would. I don't know. Look, I will say one thing. I do think all members of the armed forces should donate blood. I do, guys. I think members of the armed forces, you know, they're fit, they're healthy young men. I was a member of the armed forces, but you know what? I think you should pay them for it as well. I don't know, like, what is it worth? Like maybe 50 quid or something, or 50 quid a sitting or whatever. I do think there should be that option. In fact, I can remember, you know, the spinal, what's the stuff in your spine? Is it like marrow, bone marrow or something? So it came out, there were, like, when I was in the military, these things come out in the military, and it came out in the military. If anybody wants to donate, so it came out in the military, if anybody wanted to donate bone marrow, they got the next day off work. So the lads were like, right, well, if I donate bone marrow on a Thursday, I've got Friday off. I've got myself a long weekend. And they're like, yeah, we'll do that. That sounds mega. So a couple of the blokes volunteered for it. They didn't realise that you can't have anaesthetic because of something, the way it works. And they literally, I don't want to get too gruesome, but they like screw a needle or something into your spine while you're totally aware of it. And you know the pain that these guys went through. They were off sick like all weekend and into the Monday, and that they were just in absolute bits. But yeah, the military. Anyway, listen, especially the paratroopers, they'll be up for anything. And then Alex Cullen over there is saying he's got a rare blood type and he can't donate. So Alex over on YouTube, if you need blood, how are you gonna how do you get that? Is there how do you do that? Like, you know, if you've got a rare blood type, is there a place you can go and like be your own blood bank? I don't know how that works. I mean, that would be a good idea. Maybe that's an idea you can take on Dragon's Den or something. Right, let me jump yeah, we've done that one. Linda Lewis saying, hi, Sean, how's you? Really busy this morning. I've had so much to do. I've literally been running in and around the house, literally running it. And I think I managed to get here online on time, or I was maybe like 5 minutes late, which it does. I don't know about you guys, but you know when you say you're going to do something at like 4 or 10 o'clock in the morning, if I'm 1 minute late, I start to panic and I'm like, oh no, I can't, I need to get on there. But anyway, I do think I got on here at a reasonable time, only 5 minutes late. I mean, if I was 5 minutes late, that would be on time for, if Sarah was 5 minutes late, that would be on time for her. Right. Linda Lou is saying, is it just me or does anyone else likes keep disappearing and takes ages to tap them back? I don't know. I guess that's fun for you guys who are watching to figure out. Oh, hang on. I've got some more comments on the YouTubes. Right. So a comment over on YouTube is saying, did you see the 1960s video testing LSD on troops? Yes, I did. That thing is wild. So there's this old video, right? It's like in black and white, and you get shown it when you're in the military. You go to like where is it? Is it Corporal Down? No, it's not Corporal Down, is it? That's something totally different. Where is it? The Porton Down, sorry. When you go to Porton Down, you have to do various like stuff. They show you this video And it's like a 1960s era video. It's all in black and white. And you've got this very English gentleman talking through as like the narrator, and he's saying, at 9:15, one platoon were administered a dose of LSD. The first 15 minutes seemed to be fine. After 1 hour, the platoon signaller, and honestly, these guys are just absolutely, it's a really funny video. I don't know if it's on YouTube or whether it's restricted, but yeah, they were testing LSD on troops. But listen, they seem to have a good time. But yeah, I have watched that video. Right, let me come back on these comments. Gemini Blessings is saying, good morning, everyone. Sharon Owen sending some laughing faces. Maybe that's about I think that's about when we were talking about my mum. If you're just joining, my mum thinks King Charles is following her on TikTok. Listen, maybe he is, I don't know. But she phoned me up last night. She said, Sean, how do I stop someone from following me on... I was like, why are you on King Charles? I mean, I didn't even ask her that. Why did you not want him to follow you? But anyway, she thought King Charles was following him, and he doesn't have a blue tick, but whatever. I'm just going to leave it there. If my mum wants to think that, that's absolutely fine. Blood donation, is it there getting ready? Do you know what? It could be actually, Debbie Dooms. It could be. Sharon Owen is saying they are calling for blood donations as we speak. Yeah. Keep tapping, guys. Let's get to 50,000. Oh, we're already over 50,000. We're at 55,000. What's your thoughts on the new crop circle that happened yesterday? I've not seen it, Paul Poops, but I am going on it now. Listen, ladies and gentlemen, I don't want to go down the aliens route and the trans-dimensional stuff in a morning, but I can't help myself with the crop circle. Let me just have a look. Now, as always, I do think crop circles are blueprints to something. So I'm just looking at crop circles, news, new crop circle, no, I can't find anything. 2025, no, I can't find anything. Paul Poops, what do I need to search for? I'm looking now. I can only see that like geometric Celtic thing. I can only see like that Celtic thing. I can't see any of the others. I do think some crop circles are man-made, guys. I do think some crop circles are man-made, but not all of them. You just wouldn't be able to do all of them. Right, let me, where are we? Oh, hang on, there's another comment on YouTube. Right. Yeah, so we're just talking over on YouTube about the LSD trials. It's on YouTube. Yeah, so I've not seen the crop circle yet. Danny Boy is saying you can test for cancer cells in the blood. Right, okay, I didn't realise that. I thought it was, okay, right, I'm wrong. Timsky, there was only me and one other had the same. I don't know what that means. Oh, blood groups. So we had to take it before us. All right, so we had to take blood before us in deployment. Yeah, that sounds smart. Surely, excuse me. I'm a serial. No, I'm not. I am. I'm a serial sneezer, ladies and gentlemen. I am a serial sneezer. That does not mean I sneeze. That does not mean I sneeze. Weetabix. Right. If you have RH, talking about blood groups there, only 15% of the population are RH next. Paul Poops on the 8th of June. Right. Okay. 8th of June. No, I still can't find anything. Avebury, Wiltshire. It's strange, isn't it? You'd think that crop circle, 8th of June, Avebury, you would find it. Nothing. You see, this kind of creeps me out, ladies and gentlemen, why there's no, this creeps me out. Like, this really does creep me out, why you can't find it. Right, I'm looking at on X here, guys. Like, again, can you imagine, just with the crop circles, guys, I'll come on back to the policing and what's happening in Ukraine and, but okay, I'm just looking, right, guys, give me a second. I'm just looking at this crop circle in real time. Yeah, not a chance that's man-made. Well, I don't know. It might be. I don't know. I don't know. It doesn't look. I don't know. I'd have to get down and have a look at it, but you know, real crop circles, all the crops that are bent over at a node point. This one looks a bit messy, but like it's beautiful. Right, so I'm just looking at this crop circle now, guys, and it's so you've got a central, so you've got a central circle, and then you've like got a star around that, and then you've got like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. You've got 10 smaller circles leading off from that, but it's weird because like the crop circles I think of, you have symmetry, and then you've got the circles are at slightly different, and then you've got the circles at slightly different sizes. So I don't know on this one, guys. I don't know. Let me see how close it is to an entry point. Yeah, I mean, with these crop circles, guys, I just struggle to see that these crop circles are done by people with boards. You know, I really do, guys. I struggle to see these how these crop circles are done by people with boards, but who knows what it is? Who knows what it is? I mean, it could be some sort of I have no idea what it may be. Anyway. Yeah, done that one. But isn't it strange, guys? Isn't it strange how there's no media talking about these crop circles? Like, it just seems like even if 1 out of 1,000,000 crop circle you can't explain, or 1 out of 1,000 or whatever, even if it's just that very small percentage, like, wouldn't if like you woke up in the morning and somebody had done that to your garden, would you just think, oh, look at that, and think nothing else about it? Or would you like want to get to the bottom of it? And if it keeps happening in the same part of the same country year after year after year, wouldn't you want to put some investigation into that? Wouldn't you want to find out what the military thought about it? Back in the when was it? I think back in the early 90s, I want to say 96, but I might be wildly off with that. But in the 90s, there was a documentary. Now, when this documentary was done, they were trying to catch like the makings of a crop circle, and like I think the best they found was some spheres swizzling around. But it kind of got debunked, and people laugh about it and joke about it. But I don't know why people laugh about it. I don't know why people laugh and joke about this. But I don't think that Bob and Barry have done all these crop circles, you know, with a couple of ropes and boards. Yes, I do believe you can make a rudimental, you know, crop circle with a piece of string and some boards, but some of these geometric designs, guys, no, not a chance you can do them with boards. And the crops, they're matted together in the middle. I just don't get it, guys. I don't know what it is. Interstellar discussion is all over this, says Lisa. Like the Sumerian solar map, a man has found out. Yeah, so Lady Trace here is talking about the Sumerian solar map. So if you guys don't know, the ancient Sumeria or ancient Sumer is ancient Babylon in the Bible. It's basically where modern day. Listen, ladies and gentlemen, this is why you guys are on. You're here for me to answer your questions in real time. I don't know what these questions are going to be. So if you can, ladies and gentlemen, we're double streaming at the moment. If you can show your support on YouTube, on Twitter, on X, on here, tap the screen, do whatever you can, guys, and just click those buttons that help the channel grow. So ancient Samaria, what is modern day Iraq, basically. In the Bible, it's referred to as Babylon, the fall of Babylon. Now, this civilization, it used to predate everything until Göbekli Tepe was found, but we'll just go with this. Basically, in prehistory humanity, in these temples in Babylon, in Sumeria, they found actual maps of the solar system depicting a heliocentric model. Now, we didn't see the heliocentric model until, who was it? Was it Copernicus? I can't remember who it was. He was an Italian guy. Said that, was it Galileo? I can't remember. I think it was maybe Galileo or someone. They said, well, hang on. How about instead of the Earth being in the middle of the solar system, what about the sun being in the middle? And then everything makes sense. So we didn't know about this, and by we I mean humanity didn't know about this until like the 16th century. But here we have like ancient tablets from Sumeria depicting a solar system with all the planets, rings around Saturn, with the sun in the middle. So how did they know back then? I think there's a lot about ancient technology that we don't know. And again, maybe it's aliens. I don't know. Danny Boy saying it means there's a 10th planet and large one is Earth. Right, let me look at that. So, okay, or could it be that there's 10 planets and the middle one is the sun, Danny Boy? Could that what it be? So Danny Boy is talking about this, we're talking about this, we're talking about this crop circle that's being found, right? So I'm going to try and explain the crop circle, and I think Danny Boy's just nailed it on the head. And of course I'd have been able to get it if I'd have had a little bit more time. So Danny Boy's saying that this crop circle, and as I'm looking at this crop circle, guys, you've got a circle in the middle, kind of a hollow circle in the middle, actually. So are they saying that the sun is hollow? Let me hear it out. So you've got like a circle in the middle, and then you've got like a star around it. So that could potentially be representing the sun. And then there's 10 spherical objects around it, all of slightly different sizes. And Danny Boy's saying it could be representing the solar system, saying there's 10 planets in the solar system. And if you guys want to read back to Zachariah Sitchin's book, The 10th Planet, he's claiming that Nibiru is actually the 10th planet, and that's way off, and it may actually be coming close. But yeah, that could be it. But then I would say, now the reason I would question that, and I would have skepticity on that, if that's a word. And you know what, ladies and gentlemen, even if it's not a word, we should have skepticism as a word right now, because I am a fully qualified English gentleman, and it's my birthright to make up words. So let me just have a look at this crop circle again, guys. Let me see if I can look at it with those eyes. Hang on. So if you guys listen, I'm just looking at this crop circle that's online. I mean, the things are fantastically beautiful. Right, so I just stopped it there. Right, I've just stopped it there. So maybe, right, so I'm just going out there, guys, and this is going to be wild, and this is something we should maybe save for the later show, all right? But each planet, to me, looks like there's a path to the sun. If we're saying that this is a map of the solar system, and the solar system has 10 planets, and the sun is hollow, then to me that's saying that there's a path from the sun to each planet, or each planet is somehow attached to the sun. I don't know, guys. I'm just thinking in real time. I'm just thinking in real time. Right, let me get these. I'm just getting these comments. Right, let me jump up. We've done that one. We've done this ancient Sumerian. We've done that with Danny Boy. Like it's move along, nothing to see here. Yeah, Lisa's saying there with these crop circles, guys. It's like, yeah, people are saying like, move along, there's nothing to see here. Just your friendly crop circle. You're like, no, this thing needs more investigation. And it happened after a solar flare again. Right. I was watching a video, guys, and somebody was saying that there is a direct correlation between solar flares and crop circles. Now let's unpack that. Let me pin this actually from let me pin this from Lady Trace. Let me pin this from Lady. Right, guys, this is like a nighttime conversation, a nighttime topic. But yeah, I remember that now, guys. I remember that. Now let's just think about that physically. Yeah, I mean, my train of thought, ladies and gentlemen, is far too deep for a morning live. My train of thought is far too deep for a morning live, guys. You know, it's far too deep, right? Sean, have you ever seen sand circles in Egypt? Yeah, I have. Danny Boy is saying NASA is tracking 3 asteroids heading our way. That doesn't sound good, does it? Four Paws is saying ban halal meat debates today. Paul Poops is saying whoever or whatever is making them, it's criminal damage to the farmer's crop. You see, actual crop circles don't damage the crops. So actual crop circles don't damage the crops. And Gemini Blessing is saying it's a strawberry moon on the 11th of June. So strawberry moon, I think, is relating to actual strawberries, not the colour of it. Just had my invite to this live, says Debbie Doob. So Debbie Doob just had an invite to this live. Right, guys, I'm going to go on to YouTube to get a couple of comments, guys, okay? So M5 is saying, Sean, the government created division by not making universal bin colours in each county. Very annoying. I don't know how that happens. Are we saying that universal? Should we all listen? I don't see bin colours. I just see something I put my rubbish in. I treat them all equally. You know, sometimes I'll put the recycling in one bin. Sometimes I'll put the recycling in the other bin. Bins life matters, ladies and gentlemen. Bins life matters. I do not discriminate against any of my bins. Right, let me turn that off. Right. Debbie Doobs is saying people have been reporting seeing orange moon for the last few days. Yeah, so how that works, guys, with the orange moon, it's all about light and not photosynthesis, that's in plants. So your light as it comes in from the sun, so the sun's actually white. When it's high up in the sky, the sun, imagine this is the atmosphere, right? This pen is said atmosphere, all right? When the sun is high in the sky, it's got a short distance to travel through. So what hits it first is the most energetic light particles, which is the blue light. So if any of you guys are interested, blue light is faster than red light. So that's why the sky's blue. So the blue light hits the atmosphere first, and then the rest of the light comes through. That's why it appears yellow. Now, when the sun's going down, right down, especially if it's being windy and a lot of particulates are up in the atmosphere, when the sun is low in the sky, if you think that, you have to get through that distance of atmosphere. If you're low down in the sky, you have to get through like that much atmosphere. So it's the light diffusing on the atmosphere that gives it that orange look, or red, depending on how windy it's been. Right, a couple of questions here on. Jamie is saying, be interesting if there was any side effect of eating the corn from a crop circle. Yeah, you know what? That's an interesting question. Do people who eat crop circles eat crop circles? You can't eat a crop circle. Like, listen, I bet there's a company out there. I bet there's some depths of the internet who make crop circle bread. In fact, you know what, guys? I'm pretty much guaranteeing it. In Wiltshire, there's a company. Do you know what? Let me just do a search on this. I bet there's a company in Wiltshire that make crop circle bread. I'm just going to Google crop circle bread. Crop circle bread can refer to two things: a Chinese street food called gokyu, or the potential cost of bread production from crop circles that damage farmland. Right, okay. Let me do buy. But guys, listen, I'm standing by what I've said. I bet there's a company in Wiltshire that sells crop circle bread. I can't find it. I can't find one with a rudimental search online. I can't find it, but I'm pretty sure there'll be a company in Wiltshire that's selling claimed crop circle bread. If the crop circle eventually gets harvested, it could end up in your cornflakes when you eat radioactive alien cornflakes. You know how that needs. I'm going to pin that. Yeah, so maybe we're all eating radioactive alien cornflakes. Look, maybe it gives you extra strength. Maybe it gives you less strength. I don't know. Maybe it's a secret to the universe. But Jamie LUFC is saying if the crop circle eventually gets harvested, it could end up in your cornflakes. Then you're eating radioactive alien cornflakes. One of the things that also fascinates me about crop circles is, and I don't know if you guys know this, but on the outside of crop circles, you find little metallic spheroids or little spherical balls. Now, I don't know what they are. You know, I don't know what they are. But you do find them, and like nobody's doing any research on this, or nobody that we know about is doing any research on this, and it just absolutely fascinates me, guys. It really does. Priv Carol is saying on TikTok, is saying, I saw the orange moon last night, saw someone share a video where you saw two look like a reflection. Is there a particular crop that these crop circles appear in? Says Debbie Doob. Yeah, that'd be fascinating, wouldn't it? Like, see if there's any correlation between crops and crops. A particular crop that they like the most. I would speculate not, because I think I would have heard about it. But you know, I'm not giving that as a definitive answer. Right, ladies and gentlemen, listen, the crux of this video, the crux of this live stream, so whether you're watching this on YouTube, whether you're watching it on TikTok, the crux of this video is policing is broken in the United Kingdom. This is an article from the Telegraph, and this is how I'm portraying this now, ladies and gentlemen. Nobody will be coming to help you when the summer of carnage starts. And we are already seeing this around the Western world. We're seeing this in Spain. We're seeing this in, is it Portugal as well? I think Portugal as well had protests. Most notably in the United States right now, in California, a couple of weeks ago in Paris. And I think that Ireland is going to be the next one to go, ladies and gentlemen. Oh yeah, Elisa on TikTok just put Ireland. You know, and once these things go, it's like once you let the dogs off the lead, sometimes you can't call them back. You know, so I do think Ireland's going to be the next one to be in a full summer of carnage mode. But remember, I do think this is coming to the United Kingdom. Now, let's double this up with what we know from the Telegraph article today. Police is broken. Also, top officers, I don't know what that means. Are they taller? Top officers warn Reeves. Chancellor told underpaid and overworked police are leaving in droves, while police forces cut numbers to save money. So just conceptualize that for a moment, guys. Let's go back to what I was saying in the, what I was saying last year when I was at the Rotherham protests that turned into riots, and they did turn into riots. One of the things I said, 10% more capacity from the crowd, and that police unit would have crumbled, guys. It would have crumbled like something that crumbled. It would have crumbled like an what's that crumbly cheese? What's the crumbly cheese? Anyway, whatever. It would have crumbled like a frozen cheese, one that's been frozen and thawed out. So if we're looking at, we're going to have more than 10% capacity this year, and that's going to be facing down an already stretched and already unenthusiastic police force. You can see what's happening, can't you, guys? You can see now as the police capacity goes down and the anger among the general public goes up, you can see the outcome that's coming, guys. You really can see that outcome that's coming. And Linda Lou over on TikTok in TikTok Talk Shop is saying 14th of June in Limerick, or 14th of June Limerick, which I'm going to assume is where there's been, I'm going to assume that's where there's going to be a planned protest or something. But you can see how all these things now come together, and they seem like the crescendo almost seems too perfect. The too perfect amount of degradation of the police force, empowerment of these empowerment of groups that don't what's the word I'm looking for? Empowerment of groups that. So we've seen the degradation of the police force, and we've seen empowerment of groups that do not subscribe to British culture. And there we have it, guys. And I keep repeating myself. When this happens, we're going to have so many divisional lines. It's going to be very difficult. And once there are different divisional lines, it becomes very difficult to police, because normally you could say, right, we've got red team and blue team. All right, these two don't like each other because of X. Easy to police. You keep them apart. But what we're going to have is so many divisional lines. So you're going to have those guys don't like them, but those guys will ally with them as long as those guys don't like them. And these guys will get along with them to a certain point until those guys are out of the question. And then if those guys are protesting, these guys are going to be, you see where I'm going, guys? And that is very difficult to police. Because then you have to divide the police force then, because you may have a protest, and within that protest you may have factions who are trying to get at each other. So you can see how difficult it's going to be for the police. And already from the article there, guys, the crux of this video, the policing is broken, and I'm speculating that there will be no help coming when the police are overrun. And I don't think that's controversial, ladies and gentlemen. I just think it's logic. When the police get overrun, they will have to go back to their HQ, because they can't have that HQ fall into enemy hands, if you want to use a military term. So all the police that are likely to get overrun, they all go back to the HQ, they secure the HQ, and then they can do subsequent operations from their HQ when they have amassed sufficient numbers and capacity. That's how it works, ladies and gentlemen. Also, while we have been on the live stream, Ukraine latest, let me see if there's been any live updates. Let me just refresh the screen. Poland have been scrambling jets, because again, it seems like night after night, it's the biggest attack on, it's the night after night, it's the biggest attack on Ukraine, the biggest air attack. Kremlin says Russia is still ready to proceed with a prisoner swap with Ukraine. Russia wants buffer zone in Ukraine. Kremlin says, right, let me read this, guys. Let me see if this is in line with what I've been saying. The Kremlin has said that an advance by the Russian forces towards Ukraine's Dnipropetrovsk region is partially motivated by a desire to create a buffer zone in the country. Remember, guys, how many times and how many videos have I said this? There's not going to be any such swizzling on this until the Russians are up to the Dnipro. The river Dnipro is the buffer zone, guys, all right? Russia yesterday is forced to advance, to the edge of the eastern central Ukrainian region, which has been fully held by Ukraine for the almost entirety of the war so far. Asked if the advance was designed to create a buffer zone, Kremlin spokesperson Dmitry Peskov said, without a doubt it is. So now it looks like, ladies and gentlemen, from this article, the Russians are knocking at the door of mid-Ukraine. So this is no longer, and again, so what we're looking at now, guys, is the conflict that has been so far hitherto isolated to the east of Ukraine, looking like, from this article from Sky News, that the Russians are knocking right on the edge of central Ukraine, guys. And that is the situation so far. It doesn't look good. And then I've just got an update from a couple of minutes, 26 minutes past. So it's saying 25 minutes, so 1 minute ago, Ukraine claims to have damaged Russian fighter jets in overnight raid. So here we're hearing, guys, so the Ukrainians seem to have, that is a long drone raid. So the Ukrainians are now striking Russians in Russia, and taking out their fighter jets before they can take off. Because remember, the fighter jets, they launch air cruise missiles and all sorts of crazy stuff. It claims it's MiG-31 fighters carrying ballistic missiles. Right, okay. So it claims it's taken out MiG-31s, which carry the Iskander missile. Did I share with you guys the picture that my friend showed me? He sent me a picture, and Iskander landed near a park where he lives, and there's like kids playing on it. And then M over, right, do you know what? I think I will end on this one. So M over on X is saying Elon deleted his X post about Donald Trump and the Epstein allegation. Guys, look, what is happening at the moment? What is happening? We've got what's his name? Zia Youssef. I'm resigning from Ukraine. I'm resigning from reform. I'm back to reform. We've got Elon Musk. Donald Trump is in those files. Donald Trump is not in those files. Like, what is going on? Is it the 5G? Is it the 5G towers affecting everybody's brain? I don't know. Right. Right, Debbie Doobs, did you get it? Right, Debbie Doobs, this is going to be the last question, and then I'm going to close TikTok down, and I'll be on for a couple of minutes on YouTube. No, I can't find anything. There's a lot of non-confirmed sources. Civilians are filming failed Oshnik missile over Kazakhstan. Rumors about Oshnik missile over failed Oshnik missile over Kazakhstan. So all we're getting is rumors at the moment, guys. Unless something is released from the Kremlin, all we can say it is rumors, guys. That's all we can say. All we can say is rumors. Right, ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to close TikTok down now, and then I will be over on YouTube for the next couple of minutes. So if you've got any burning questions, go and fire over there. Thank you for being with me, guys, and I will see you guys later. I sometimes don't know how to turn it down. Right, we're off. Right, we are off. I think we're off on. Yes, we are off on TikTok. We are off on TikTok. Just for YouTube, guys, if you got to the end this far and you've not, in fact, I'm you guys are that. If you guys have got to the end on YouTube, you've not done so already, please hit that subscribe button, the bell notification. It really does help when we're growing these platforms. So, in short, what I think is coming to the United Kingdom this summer, and we've already seen this, we already saw it last year where the police lost control. We saw footage of the police literally running away from crowds. And you're going to see this more this year. Let me get my coffee. Because I can caffeinate myself when I'm on, I can have a coffee when I'm on YouTube. So, we're going to see this year more scenes of the police running away from whatever. Now, we already saw this last year, and what that's done is that's emboldened those crowds to understand, and it's giving them the ability now to understand that if they go crackers and if they just like go wild and mental, the police will run off. So they know how to do that now. What's happened since then is a load more fire is being put into the flames of this discontent in the United Kingdom. Remember, we've got the trial of Ricky Jones. In fact, do you know what? That'll be soon, actually. We've got the trial of Ricky Jones. We've got the two gentlemen who had fisticuffs allegedly in Manchester Airport. So we've got these people now of a backdrop of Lucy Conley in jail for, what is it, 2 years, 7 months, I think, for a Facebook post. So we're going to see the results of these trials, and it's going to drive, potentially, it has the potential to make people really upset, really angry. And when these things fall out onto the street, when they escalate and you reach that critical mass, somewhere in the, hang on guys, somewhere in the police's methods of operandum, their standard operating procedures, whatever the police call it, there will be an operational manual, and it will say something like, if 10% of our force become incapacitated in mass public order, we give the call and everybody has to come back to the main HQ. Because what you can't have is the police gathering, losing forces, and then the protesters, the rioters, the Tatrushkas, the agent provocateurs, whatever you want to call it, those guys getting emboldened and growing in pace, because as soon as the word gets out that the police has been overthrown at one place, that'll empower people to go to the next place and overthrow the police there. And I've seen this in other countries. When this happens, it's like this ball, and once it starts getting momentum, it can't be stopped. And the more momentum it gets, the harder it is to stop. So in that scenario, all the police will there'll be a code word or something. They'll say, right, everybody, get back to the HQ, because if the HQ, like, I don't know, Nottingham Police or whatever, wherever Nottingham Police HQ building is, if the police start to fall, the next logical target would be the police HQ. Now, if the police HQ falls, that's it fallen for everyone. So in that scenario, all the police would go back to the HQ, they would defend the HQ, then they would make subsequent operational decisions after that. But that's what I think is coming this year, guys, and I've been saying this for since last year. Courtney Fitzpatrick, bet it's nice to be able to drink your drink without hiding now. Yes, it is. I don't know why, guys. Look, this platform, the YouTube platform, it's a lot, I can do a lot more on this YouTube platform, share maps, we can watch things together. And I will be honest, guys, the TikTok user interface is a lot better. So, that's why I'm double streaming now, guys. I'm double streaming. I've got TikTok and I've got YouTube. I'm doing it together. I am going to try and film with, stream with X as well. Well, I'm just on YouTube now. The thing that got my video banned, because I know I'll be able to say it on this platform, this got me banned for my video on TikTok. On my live stream, I got it banned because I said I don't trust Russians. That's literally what I said on TikTok. The video went off. It said, I think it said hate speech. I was like, what? I've been banned for that? And there's literally people on TikTok are like borderline naked doing things that are you'd be like, what? And then I get banned for saying I don't like people because I've got good reason not to. I don't know, guys. Look, listen, ladies and gentlemen, this is like the social media. It's their ball game. It's their rules. It is what it is. We have to abide by rules because I'm a law-abiding citizen. But yeah, Courtney Fitzpatrick is saying TikTok is so strict. Yes, it is. But listen, ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to close this down now. Thank you again. If you're watching this live or if you're watching this later on, make sure you hit those buttons that help the channel grow. They're like down below, the like, the follow. Is there a follow one, a subscribe, the bell notification? I don't know. Anyway, ladies and gentlemen, I am going to go now. Oh, Courtney is saying, I got a ban for nudity wearing a baggy tracksuit. Yeah, it's insane. Like, I like drinking a coffee. I get a notification saying I'm alcohol. Is it alcohol and tobacco or something? Anyway, ladies and gentlemen, listen, thank you so much. I'm going now and I'll see you guys later.